The CBI today contacted Interpol asking for help to arrest Nirav Modi, who's being investigated in connection with a massive bank fraud. Nirav Modi and his associates are accused of getting PNB, that's Punjab National Bank officials, to give them huge loans, all using fake guarantees. The cost is now, according to different estimates, anywhere between 11,000 to upwards of 60,000 crores, that too of public money. The passports of Nirav Modi and his business associates, Mehul Choksi, who's also his maternal uncle, have been suspended. That's the big story that we're looking at. The foreign ministry says that they don't know what the jewelry designer is, but NDTV has traced him down to a swanky hotel in New York. That's what we're looking at today. Let me introduce my panel to you right away. I'm joined in the Delhi studios by Bikramjit Bhattacharya, former ASG of India, former country manager also with international banks. Also in the Delhi studios, Pawan Khera of the Congress, and joining us is PN Vijay, senior economist. Thanks very much for being here. I want to start by asking you, Pawan Khera, today, of course, you heard what the Allahabad Bank director Mr. Dubey had to say, saying that he sent a dissent note against Gitanjali Gems, that's Mehul Choksi's company, to the government and RBI way back in 2013. But in fact, he paid for it by feeling pressure and having to resign from his job.
Natasha, I wouldn't really respond to what an unofficial political appointee has to say. I'm not undermining what he's saying. Maybe he has reasons to say what he's saying. The fact of the matter is that the money has gone missing here and now. The FIR is based on 8 LOUs, all 8 belonging to February 2017. Here are the facts. There was a complaint by one Mr. Vaibhav Khurania to the Prime Minister's office, to Gujarat Chief Minister, to Maharashtra Chief Minister, and all other agencies that are under the sun against Mehul and his companies. What was done?
Okay.
Within months, the Prime Minister invites Mehul to his own house and says, "Hamare Mehul bhai." We all saw the video today on social media. So let's address the questions which are coming out now. Let them not go and file FIRs against Nehruji for 1947
By
that
that logic,
used
there
to.
are also videos of Rahul Gandhi at some Nirav Modi party and you know,
That's not a function hosted by Rahul Gandhi. I'm sorry, the Prime Minister tweets the picture of Davos. Mr. Jaitley takes him to Davos in 2016. 5 months after the DRI opens an investigation against Nirav Modi.
Okay. PN Vijay, you know, the Congress argument is if Dubey resigned in 2013 after UPA pressure, why wasn't it a red flag for the NDA to investigate? Shouldn't the NDA have then done its bit on this? Where do you stand on this?
Well, I'm hearing only media reports. I think the whole thing appears to be that the government is taking a stand that this is a collusion between bank managers and the company who have flouted the core banking software and the SWIFT system to generate a huge fraud, similar to the Harshad Mehta's banker receipts fraud and Ketan Parekh's fraud, which later were proved to have not any great political implications. So the government's basically saying this is systemic fraud, we are looking into it, etc. Now the opposition is trying to say, no, it's not as simple as that. The powers that be knew about this guy's nefarious designs, but they decided to look the other way. Now, I'm frankly not in a position to say if Mr. Modi and his team were involved or knew about it or didn't take proper action when complaints were given. I think I'm not really in a position to comment. What I can comment is that the Indian banking system is really doddering. I mean, it's amazing. Last 1 year, if you see, even one of the things that have happened in the Indian banking system, if that happened, we'd have had the GCBCs, but they're all coming all in one go. And it's paralyzing the credit delivery system. It's paralyzing the growth of the economy. And I think as a macroeconomist, I'm very, very worried about that.
Right, we're going to get into that, but I want to ask you, Mr. Bhattacharya, you know, this began at fraud around 280 crores. Yesterday it was 11,000 crores. Today the Congress is holding up papers saying, no, it's actually 33,000 crores. Online there are some who are talking about it again, claiming that they've done number crunching and saying it's at 60,000+ crores. What's going on? From 6 banks, now exposure is for 30 banks.
Natasha, 30 banks are involved. That is the information so far. And all these outstandings which have been shown, 11,400 crores in the press, all are outstandings created in the last 1 year. Now, if the transaction has been going on since 2011, then from 2011 to 2017, those are irregular transactions, those are not frauds, because this company which has committed the fraud, they were paying it. So the kite flying was going on. Now the kite flying was going on, only the fraud has been committed in only the last 1 year.
Okay.
You see, if you are issuing a letter of comfort or a letter of undertaking based on which the overseas branch is lending and crediting nostro account of Punjab National Bank, then Punjab National Bank has the possession of the funds and it is spreading. So 11,400 crores is the admitted figure, and more number of banks may come as investigation goes on. The situation is grim.
Okay, situation is grim. Vijay, before I get in Pawan Khera, would you agree that that this could, of course, become much bigger from the sign of things?
Instead of hoodwinking people every day by someone or the other, and not the finance minister refuses to come out and address these uncomfortable questions. The fact of the matter is, let's not get into politics, Natasha. Right now, the trust and the faith of depositors in the banking system of India is under a huge threat. And this is a duty of any government. Right now, it's the BJP, it could be us. BJP government has to come out, address these uncomfortable questions and allay the fears of the depositors. After all, it's a hard-earned money of every single citizen of India.
Right.
Let's seriously focus on these issues rather than coming out with some photograph of somebody partying somewhere and then saying, no, even you knew his dada or pardada. That's not what we are interested in. That's not what the viewers of this channel are interested in.
All right. Okay. Or, of course, the BJP could argue that ours as well. But coming here, Vijay, Prakash Javadekar says, that steps have been taken by the government to cleanse the banking system. So the big question really being, how do you believe that this has escaped detection all these years? Now, whether we say that it's happened 1 year, 4 years, from 2011, how do you believe that something like this can escape detection for such a long period of time?
I'm amazed. I'm just amazed. I worked in top foreign banks for almost 20 years. I can't imagine that a letter of undertaking, which according to the RBI is like a letter of guarantee, amounting to thousands of crores, have been issued by a DGM of a bank. Doesn't that have to get to the approval of the credit committee and then the board of directors? There's a huge exposure of the bank. So there's a huge systemic failure. I think somewhere the system has totally collapsed. And I think the public sector banks control about 75% of Indian banking. And I think things are no better in any other public sector banks. So I'm really worried, as the gentleman from the Congress party is saying, there's a huge systemic failure. The government has to come out and say how they are addressing the systemic failure. There is a political implication, no doubt it will all come out in due course. But the people are worried. Every day, State Bank of India reported the first loss in 26 quarters. Right. So, I mean, people are very worried about banks, which we feel are the pillar of this economic system. And I mean, government has to come out and assuage the feelings of people, not make just bland statements,
Confidence of the common man, the sort of depositor, the pensioner, the old people who are keeping deposit in the bank, shaken. Now, I agree with both the distinguished panelists. Government must come out and say that your money is safe and no irresponsible statement should be made. Like NPA has gone up this, actual NPA is more. These are irresponsible statements. You should say everything is safe, and the banking industry runs on.
Nobody can say it with such certainty, can they? That everything is safe? I mean, unless now we do a proper audit of all banks and we know for sure.
Don't scare the depositors.
Okay.
See, because as I said, already the official figure is now going from 11,000 crores to, as you have, Natasha, very correctly stated, there are sort of rumors floating that it may be 30,000 crores, 40,000 crores.
Done the numbers on this,
So, something has to be done to stem the rot.
I was going to ask you, Mr. Vijay, is it possible to stem the rot even now? We're still trying to come to terms with, the exact amount of this fraud or exact extent of this fraud, but can we still stem the rot?
Well, I think government has to stem the rot, in my view, in two ways. One, it has to go out and say very publicly, maybe from the FM's office, that every paisa that depositors have is protected in the public sector and government stands guarantee. Whatever be the losses of these big banks, I mean PNB is one of the top 3 or 4 public sector banks. So that should quieten the apprehensions of people who have put in their hard-earned money into banking, which all of us feel is the best and safest investment in this country. So after that, government should do a forensic audit of each and every bank, whether these types of letters of undertaking have been issued, because each of them represents a systemic fault. So we have to dimension this. I think what happened, you remember, in the US after the 2008 crisis, the Fed did a stress test of the banks. I think Raghuram Rajan was also in favor of a stress test of banks, where forensic auditors go in and do a stress test.
Okay, so you're
and
saying
come
that will
out
give
with
us a
facts
sense of
that
just...
this is the real position of the banks and face up to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then of course, the BP also today said it's all well, target them, but this is coming out, they say, because they are doing their bit to cleanse up the system, and that it didn't come out. It began in 2011, but, you know, there was a lid put on it.
Why do they say it began in 2011? What is the evidence they have that it began in 2011? Every year the banks have their balance sheets. There are 4 mechanisms of auditing a bank. The 4th one is like RBI itself auditing a bank. So how can they say it started in 2011? As my distinguished colleague just said, what is the outstanding? The outstanding belongs to this year. So whatever happened so far may have been some technical issue. Squared off.
Everything is squared off. Maybe squared off, sorry for the interruption, maybe squared off in an irregular manner. So it was an irregular transaction when you say transaction started, but the question is that for giving credit, it cannot exceed more than 30 days or 60 days or maximum 1 year. These were maturing on 25th of January this year. So therefore, these outstanding reflex.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but I'll give you the last word on this, Pawan Khera, to all those who are saying that was there more that you could have been done in the UPA years as well to prevent it from reaching this figure? What would you say?
I am yet to come across a foolproof system. Systems keep evolving.
Okay.
Some governments have done better, some have done worse. That's not the issue. Today, what is the government doing? 5,100 crore has already been recovered. In 2 hours, how could the ED evaluate the gems?
That is an important question. How have they put the value
Where
of
is the
that they've recovered?
report? We all want that report. Don't hoodwink is what my humble submission to my
We'll try and get those answers from them, but
is.
I'm afraid I'm out of time on this. Pawan Khera, Mr. Bhattacharya and PN Vijay, thanks very much for your time. In the days and weeks ahead, hopefully there will be more known on just what has happened here and its extent.